What's up, everyone, and welcome to our show, Now, Next, Never. I'm Nicole Casperson, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts Alana Saparu and Zaid Adamani. What is up, guys? It is Friday, TGIF. We have a bunch of fun things to go over. Zaid, tee us up.
That's right. We got three great stories today talking about VC Katie Haun raising $1.5 billion. That is a record. We're going to talk about what that means. BuzzFeed is taking a buzzsaw to their newsroom. And then finally, Pubg, a very famous, very popular game. Pubg Studios is using their game library for NFTs. And lastly, we have producer Danny is back to tell us what happened. So before we get to that, Delano, tell the people what they got to do before we get into these stories.
Zaid and Nicole, happy Friday, and happy Friday to all of you that are watching. Please, before we unpack all those stories and what it means for your money, make sure that you are tapped in by liking, subscribing, commenting to all of our stories every time we go live. And to make sure you know every time we go live, hit that notification button so you get a notification when we are going at it. All right, so we're excited. We're going to talk about all this stuff on a beautiful Friday afternoon. So thank you guys for tuning in. And let's get this kicked off. Let's get this kicked off right this second.
So we all know that the world of venture capital is a male-dominated field, but here is a big sign of hope. Huge news this week. Crypto investor Katie Haun, formerly of Andreessen Horowitz, raised $1.5 billion for her new fund, Haun Ventures, and broke a few records with the announcement, according to PitchBook. It is the largest debut venture fund, the largest solo general partner venture fund, and the largest fund ever raised by a woman. So, huge milestone here. And the fund is focused on the next generation of innovations for Web3. So Katie is interested in investing in Web3 companies for a lot of the same reasons why I cover the subject, to broaden the array of voices involved in this ecosystem. So I gotta throw out some data here, guys. According to data from Women in VC, a growing number of women are leaving the traditional path and building their own VC firms from the ground up. Of all US-based VC partners, only 4.9% are women. And less than half, 2.4% of that total, are founding partners. In the last 5 years, the number of women-led funds has nearly quadrupled, and it continues to accelerate. So Katie's record-breaking venture fund here has this ability to create a positive flywheel of opportunities for more women to enter the venture capital space. The big caveat here, though, is that we need hundreds of Katie Hauns breaking records each day to ever reach some form of equity. One of the craziest stats I found from that Women in VC research is that if we continue at the current pace that we're at today, it will take female fund managers 200 years to achieve equal statuses to male counterparts. So I threw a lot at you guys, but overall, really excited about this announcement. But is this the push that we need to bring more women into the Web3 crypto space?
Yeah, Nicole, I don't know. I thought about this one after celebrating, what this is a great accomplishment from one individual. Like, you're still a little bit sad because it's like, I don't know if that's the flywheel we need because it's one individual's incredible story. Now, you mentioned some great stats about other people, other women that are now getting into the space, and maybe they saw this and see what Katie's doing as some sort of obviously a guiding light, which is great. But I think to actually make sweeping change, Nicole and Zaid, we have to have some sort of infrastructure change where it's more comfortable for women to get into the space, for minorities to get into space, for minority women, Black and brown women to also get into space, because that's obviously a subject I love to see stats on. So I know that those numbers are very, very daunting. And so, this is something we can celebrate. One person doing something great, and obviously we don't know how the fund's going to perform. A VC fund, you have to see actually the performance 8 to 10 years out, not when you raise the money from limited partners. So we have to celebrate it, but then we still get a little sad because there's a little bit more work to be done to really make this space more diverse for investors and for founders that are in the space, because we know investors tend to fund and invest in people that look like them. That's just the way it is. And so Zayd, I don't know. I don't think I was happy and sad. I was like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, oh man, we still have a lot of work to do, Zayd. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work to do, but I mean, as someone that has a 3-year-old daughter that wants my daughter to have role models in business, I mean, Katie Haun doing this is awesome, right? So you can look up to Katie, and especially if Katie performs well. That's going to be the thing that I'm interested in seeing, because the pressure is really going to be on her. The spotlight's on her. She's raising this record fund. it's really the spotlight's going to be on her to see how she performs. And like you were saying, this is a very unknown industry. Like we're still kind of figuring out what Web3 is going to be. We're still trying to figure out what crypto is going to be. So the pressure's on. But to me, I'm still here to celebrate the wins. I'm still happy to hear that she's raising this much money. I'm happy to hear that she kind of broke off from Andreessen Horowitz's and doing this. It's a great role model, and hopefully this results in more women coming into the industry. Also, I think the fact that this might result in more women-led companies being funded shouldn't be overlooked, right? Like Delano, you said it perfectly. People tend to invest in people that look like them or relate to them. That this should hopefully help more women-led companies, women-founded companies get funding, and because that's also been a huge issue in Silicon Valley for forever, right? So I'm excited to see that part. But the Web3 part is interesting. I mean, Web3 and crypto, we still don't know where that's going to go, and I guess the encouraging part of that is that the fact that she's raising so much money in a period of time where we're still kind of in a bear market, right? We're still not like things aren't riding high. We're not at all-time high prices. The fact that she's still able to raise all this money could mean that there's still excitement in the space.
Yeah, I like to think of it, something that resonates with me is thinking about it like, of all the industries, it is a Web3 focus and crypto focus. And, Web3 right now feels almost like a blank slate, right? Like something new, so that we're just at the kind of forefront, right, of this innovation. So, for her to step in early on and really, take a huge just like ownership of VC dollars in that space is huge. So here's hoping. I want to be aspirational about it. I got to hold on to all of the hope on my end, but definitely some always a little weighing the pros and cons here, and hopefully we see hundreds of Katie Hauns in the future, especially by the time that Zaid's daughter is old enough to enter the field. That is the hopes, but yes.
That is the hopes. So yeah, let's move on to another exciting story. Well, not so much exciting, but it's from a news organization. BuzzFeed News is actually making headlines, guys. And so what do you guys think? Are you more or less likely to invest in BuzzFeed? Shareholders of BuzzFeed actually have an idea. They're urging their CEO to shut down the entire news operation. BuzzFeed News, which is part of its content division, has about 100 employees and loses roughly $10 million a year. They actually won some Pulitzer Prizes and have several talented journalists, but the division has been shrinking through voluntary buyouts, obviously losing money. And one shareholder told CNBC that they think that if they shut down the newsroom division, they could see the market cap go up by 300 million. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball on that, but it's an interesting stat. So this seems to me to be a juxtaposition between BuzzFeed and what we know them for, their catchy headlines, and some stuff that make us click on their fun stories, right? Or can they also do something where they're doing real heavy news and be successful and make money? We don't know. But what do you guys think? Like Nicole is someone who's an outstanding journalist, does content. Would you be less or more likely to invest in BuzzFeed knowing that they're looking to trim down their BuzzFeed News division?
Yeah, I think for me, it doesn't really change like my opinion on BuzzFeed too much. I can appreciate, them wanting to branch out, shooting their shot. But it's smart for any content company to stick with their one niche. Niche markets are king right now, and if it resonates more with the audience, if it's like they're putting out content out there that's like, hey, which Power Ranger are you based on your astrology sign? That's fun. People love that. So if that's the case, then that's the case. I think that hopefully the journalists on their newsroom side, they'll go off and do great things and join other news organizations. But I totally get kind of like finding that balance of being, fun and funny news or information, and then also very hard-hitting journalism is hard. Sometimes I think it takes more than just a news organization. I think it takes an individual, right? Like that's actually something that I kind of do with my own content, right? I'm silly, but also serious at the same time because that's just who I am as a human. I think that resonates more when you're an individual than an institution.
Yeah, I am not likely to invest in BuzzFeed before this or after this. I mean, yeah, it's cool that they tried to be a serious news organization, but their stock price has fallen off a cliff that the graphic is showing right there. Oh. And I mean, wow, like literally falling off a cliff is an understatement. My God.
Like
Oh God. But I'm not. I mean, I'm not likely to invest in this company, man. First of all, I think that BuzzFeed makes garbage content, right? I think it was cool. I think it was cool like 10 years ago to see like these BuzzFeed quizzes pop up on your Facebook feed, but they really didn't expand past that. They never really shed that reputation. If you're like constantly bombarding me with Power Ranger quizzes and Hogwarts quizzes and Elsa quizzes, like I'm not gonna take you seriously when you write a legitimate piece about actual news happening. Even if that piece is good, you're just not likely to take it seriously, right? They've already built their brand, and I think that what happened was their popcorn content kind of got tired, like, and they also relied on Facebook too much to like bring in their audience as well. That also is kind of biting them in the butt. So I'm not likely to invest in BuzzFeed. The media business is hard, but there are some companies that have kind of figured it out, and I think it kind of might be a winner-take-all model because the New York Times is growing like crazy. They're doing really well, but they've adopted a subscription model, and I think the subscription model, it's only going to be a couple big companies that kind of take in all the subscribers, right? Because I don't need to subscribe to like 8 different news sources. If you do 1 or 2, you should be able to get all the news that you really need if you're a casual consumer of the news. So I think BuzzFeed is in trouble. Not a crystal ball here. Don't get me in trouble. But I think they're in trouble, and I'm not likely to invest in them. And it's kind of sad that like this iconic millennial brand is kind of in trouble. I mean, we live in the same world where we talked about what last week, guys, where an Instagram account raised $6 million, and BuzzFeed is like struggling to as a struggling business. Like it's kind of crazy.
Saying garbage content, that's way too far. No, I think BuzzFeed makes some interesting content and people click on it because it is interesting. There's headlines like, hey, look at the 10 things that crazy manager said to employees. Like, we're gonna click on that because it's really interesting. You mentioned Facebook. The only time I ever get on Facebook, Zaid, is to see some interesting reels or to look at some BuzzFeed quiz or some BuzzFeed article. And I literally scroll through the whole thing. That's how I never read through the whole thing of all these articles, but I literally scroll through the whole thing. Now, I think it's interesting when it's like, talking about, would you invest? We don't have a crystal ball, but the largest shareholder is saying we can do some things to, unfortunately for employees, but trim fat, make us more profitable. And of course, as we saw the stock chart, like that is essentially supposed to be saying, okay, maybe we're more valuable now that we're doing things to streamline our operations, to really focus on the stuff that's making us money. And so I think that makes the company potentially more attractive. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a shareholder of BuzzFeed, but that's some things I would consider if I'm like looking for a company that's trying to make a turnaround, right?
Yeah, maybe they'll really ramp up those tasty videos. I really like those.
Yes. The Tasties is the only good thing from BuzzFeed that's ever come out. Those tasty videos are incredible. Whoever did that needs to get a raise.
That's what's going to get Zaid to change his mind, okay?
No, I love Tasties.
Those Tasties videos could get anyone to change their mind, I think. So,
100%.
All right, we're hopeful.
All right, let's talk about something that's super interesting happening from a dying company to potentially a blossoming industry. The gaming industry continues to embrace NFTs. The gaming studio behind Pubg, a very popular game, Krafton, is partnering with Solana Labs to develop NFTs, an NFT-based game. So my question to you guys is, because we've seen a lot of these headlines from a lot of these companies, a lot of these game developers embrace NFTs. My question to you guys is, will NFTs make you more likely to play games? Because we're all casual gamers here. And for me, yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think there was an NFT element to a game. Like, I'm probably likely to a little bit more interested in checking it out, especially in the beginning when things are kind of new. But I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of these companies are embracing NFTs is because of the potential to get in more casual gamers. There's also this element of oh my God, these NFTs can make you some money by playing a game. Like, who doesn't want to make money while playing games? But I mean, obviously the downside to that is this whole play to earn movement that's happening where these games ultimately just become someone's job. And a lot of people are what do you call it? They're delegating it to people in the Philippines and stuff. So that's always a concern with NFTs coming onto gaming. But overall, I think this is good for casual gamers. I'm interested. I mean, Delana, I know you're a gamer as well. Would you be more likely to play a game if it had an NFT element to it?
Yes, and I thought about this long and hard, but ultimately the answer is not right now. My PS5 is collecting dust out in the living room because I haven't had time to play, and the only games I have right now are NBA 2K and Madden. So if you tell me that there's some sort of crypto or NFT element in the game, that's not going to make me as a casual gamer jump to it right away. Now, what will is the fact that, as you mentioned, what are the actual utilities or in-game stuff that you can earn? If there's money around involves it, I might be there, all right? There's a play to earn. You might see me involved, but I have to see what the game is first. Like, what are we playing? Is there any sports utility to it? If a bigger publisher, if you see this works, if a bigger publisher, like we can't put names out there, but let's say like hypothetically an EA or something does something of this nature, and they're starting to do stuff for inside a Madden game, right? Like that makes it more palatable to me as a casual gamer. But just right now, when you're talking about merging these technologies and merging these two industries, it doesn't do anything for me right this second, Nicole. I just don't see it right now.
I mean, NFTs in video games is the use case that can make a lot of sense for the future of NFTs. As a less than casual gamer, I guess, I mean, I will go to the arcade and play Guitar Hero like it is nobody's business and just stay there and hog it for hours. Anyways, but it sparks my interest. I feel like this could also be a pretty decent like marketing play. Like imagine a game that you haven't played in years and like them coming out and be like, hey, we got like cool new NFT things and like new this or that. Like if Guitar Hero did that, I would be like, okay, like let me go restart my game and like go check it out. So I think it's enough to like spark interest. I don't know if it's enough to be like, oh, I'm all in on this thing and like, oh, I'm all of a sudden gonna go from less than a less than casual gamer to like, full on headphones, chair, double screens.
Well,
I
don't think that's I think it's just to get more casual gamers to play, like instead of playing for 30 minutes a day, you might play for 45 minutes. But Delano, you said something that I just like thought was super interesting. Was if like say the 2K and Madden, which I play, pretty much the only games I pretty much play, FIFA, 2K, and Madden, is like what if there was an element of like each of these games had their own coins or whatever? They kind of have like their own virtual coins, but if it was like an actual crypto token, like imagine if you could like you could like do one-on-one and we like could stake one of these coins of like, okay, if I win, I get your coin.
cool.
That would be so dope.
Really awesome.
That would make these games way more intense than just like playing for trash talking. Like I think that would be awesome. So they
That
can,
is cool.
Someone make that happen. Someone at EA or 2K or someone get the licenses figured out, because I would 100% sign up for that.
Ooh, like you guys both play like each other and okay, Madden is football, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like gambling,
right?
But like in
live
a cool
stream, live stream, Zayd.
Dude, I would
you play
be so
each other
down
in
for
a
that.
game, and then like the prize is like a dope NFT or like
Yes!
some crypto.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely. Let's make that happen.
I'm seeing it now. I could play Guitar Hero against a random stranger at the arcade and
Yes!
like win it. Yes. Okay. I love it. I think we just thought of the next NFT $1 million idea. So,
Katie, let's fund this. Let's talk to Katie Haun. Let's fund this right now.
Katie, your first
Oh my
investment.
God. All right, you're welcome. We came up with it on the spot live. Okay, so that does it for our top 3 stories. I want to introduce again and welcome producer Danny to the show. Everyone say hi to producer Danny. He is with us to show us a bunch of things that happen on the internet that you probably haven't seen before, and we're going to react to it and see how it makes us feel. So hi, Danny. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going? Loving the show. Been watching it all week. I gotta say, I think I have you guys relatively figured out, except Delano. I don't know what to do with Delano. One day he's defending Amazon, saying it's okay, that it's hard to cancel. Today he's like, hey, I actually love BuzzFeed listicles. I'm like, who's this guy?
Delano's an interesting guy.
Day to
for sure.
day, it's just how I wake up, Danny. You never know what my mind's thinking that day.
Hey, well, let me know if you guys set up that betting platform, because I'll watch you guys face off. That would be too much. I'm really excited to tell you guys about this. /ashamed. I actually made a big mistake at work last week. We all make mistakes at work. Fortunately, I'm a video producer, so the worst thing I can break is a camera, which I did, a $10,000 one last week. Oops. But I got to wondering, it's okay. It was insured.
Okay.
So I decided, though, I was like, I bet people have made huge worse work mistakes, much worse. So I turned to Reddit for some therapy and answers, and I found a great thread called "Oops, what's the most expensive mistake you've made at work?" One Redditor told the story of a noisy freezer that someone unplugged because, it was making a noise. Okay, this freezer was filled with purified enzymes, antibodies, and other medical stuff. Total damage, $2 million. Brutal, right?
That is
Yeah,
good.
that's oof.
Another comment, these guys are working on a $1.1 billion satellite. Someone messed up the code, a classic decimal point error. The satellite was supposed to be, geosynchronous with Earth, tracking Earth. Instead, it went to space and then it just flew off into space.
That's the worst.
This is a real story? This is real?
Well, they're comments on Reddit. So are they real? It's something someone said. That much is real.
I
So
feel
this
like
one
this should
has
have been like national headlines.
I know, right? This one I felt was very real. This guy even provided evidence. Now, this one wasn't a direct expense, just opportunity cost. This Redditor met Larry Page, founder and CEO of Google, at a party in 1998. There's your evidence, right? There's the business card. Okay, the Redditor met him. He said, who needs another search engine? I'm going to graduate school.
That is the.
Oh, wait, Larry offered him a job?
Yeah, exactly. It was like
okay.
it was that kind of conversation. He was like, search engine? Nah, we can find it all already. Thank you.
Hindsight 2020.
I hope he's not doing those stock options numbers, because doing that math in your head, you get depressed real fast.
Right? Like, I'm estimating $1 million at least, right? That early at Google?
What million? This man had like $100 million on the table right there. It's $100 million business card right there that he passed up. But let's not think about it. Let's not. That's already depressing enough.
It's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. We did a segment this week that this got my mind going. We're talking about, how much money Apple makes. They make a lot of dough. But I started wondering, how big is Apple really? And you can almost think of Apple as a pure brand, like this weird being of like pure minimalistic luxury tech. But, they got a footprint, physical, financial, even psychological. But let's start with money. We talked about this number earlier this week. Just Apple's services business, Apple Music, Apple Play, Apple Care Plus, et cetera, that made $68 billion for Apple in 2021. That's more revenue than the GDP of most countries, okay? Wow. Iceland, Venezuela, Slovenia. Apple makes more money selling you stuff on their devices, subscriptions, et cetera, et cetera. Apple also physical, okay? This one's for you, Delano. In 2018, the Financial Times reported that Apple owns 7,300 acres, or in Delano terms, 11 square miles, half a Manhattan.
Wow.
Apple Store, Midtown. The whole Midtown is Manhattan. But here's my crazy theory for you guys. All right, get ready for this. So I think Apple is so big, they actually shape the way we talk. All right. Among Apple's favorite words, pro, right? Oh, it's not expensive. It's professional. Pro motion display. Isn't that just 120 hertz? Well, we could charge more calling it pro motion. Okay, Apple, we get it. But I started to wonder, how much of an effect does Apple's use of the word pro affect general use of the word pro? I turn to Google Trends, okay? We see searches for pro are on a steady uptrend, going with Apple's pretty consistent use of the word. The iPad mini came out in 2012. You can see there's a big peak there. Okay. And, these aren't that huge of terms. We're talking about hundreds of searches, right? Like, what person is just searching the word mini alone? So I was like, maybe this theory has some water, but this is what really sold me. We all remember the iPod Nano. Remember that one? That was fun. The little tiny one. Okay. Look at the trend on the word nano. Apple has abandoned it. And so too, use of the word nano has gone to zero. The word ate the dust. We used to talk about nanobots and nanotechnology. Well, Apple dropped it, and now the word nano is now nano. Fun fact, in a professional capacity, I actually prefer a PC. What do you guys think?
In reality, though, this doesn't surprise me. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all that certain, words that coincide with Apple are seen less or more given what they're doing in the market or in the world. I mean, I think we've all learned over the last few years that words really, really matter. So, a company as large as Apple can have those kind of cultural influences. So that is a crazy, bit of the internet, though.
How did you find that, Danny?
Yeah.
Like, was this more of like I have a hunch and I'm gonna go hunt it down, or was it like somewhere on Reddit?
I was just thinking about Apple. The thing is, I have both. I like Apple laptops. I have an iPhone. I just think PC is much better for like pure performance, for like video editing and stuff. But like, I respect the brand. I was rewatching an Apple ad over and over recently and saying things like this, and I was like, I think their branding is so funny, right? Because they just do it right in front of our face and we all buy it. They're like, yeah, iPhone 13 Pro, and you're like, hey, I'm a pro. I therefore need to spend $1,400 on a smartphone.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, can't be caught with a regular iPhone 13. You need an iPhone 13 Pro. I need that third camera. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And then, you get people like myself who have bad FOMO, right? And you're like, I need the new thing or whatever. And then, or it's also like if you see all your friends like out taking those like awesome high def pictures and then you still have, a phone with a button. It influences us.
Guys, they sell a $19 polishing cloth. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I own it. I wish
You
I
own
owned it.
Danny owns it.
It's in another room. It's like this, except it's silver and it costs $20 for no reason.
Of course, Apple's going to influence our language. What don't they influence at this point? They influence our phone designs. They influence everything at this point. So yeah, you go, Apple.
Way to go.
Some people call it mind share. They have a large part of mind share. Here's another thing that's on the share of everyone's mind. I was browsing TikTok, trying to find some interesting stories, and you know what I found? Everyone is upset about gas prices. Still, they're at near record levels. Everyone is upset. Hit that TikTok reel. Let's see these TikTokers. They're not happy.
Los Angeles today, and they tell me they are stressed
Low-key,
out.
I can't really
Vancouver,
see
gas prices
TikTok,
are hitting
so-
I'm just seeing prices
I'm
going
just gonna
up.
do
Gas prices are through the roof.
That's funny.
So the thing is, people are very upset, but you could spin this a positive way, right? High gas prices, that could put pressure on electric vehicles, other alternative energy tech to start showing up. But the problem is that takes time, right? Like we could be years still before there's an affordable EV. The forward-looking technological solution, it's not here yet. So I actually had a pitch for you guys, if we can Shark Tank this up. I actually proposed that in the meantime, we look backward. Old technology, ancient, I figure if the oil is so expensive, let's use some of these barrels. I like to present to you guys the Vega Model 1.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Right? Analog technology, you just walk and it goes. This is original work, by the way.
How many have you sold, Danny? How many of these have you sold?
Well, it's in pre-production. We're going to send
looking
you
for
one,
funding?
Delano. I think this could do really well in the New York City streets. You can kind of go on the sidewalk. There's a lot of hills. I think you get some good speed.
You think Katie Haun would invest in this? I mean, we've been talking about her a lot. Let's see if we can get her to invest. I mean, she has $1.5 billion.
I know, she's got money to spare, For me, if it had a little bit more covering, because you know that New York City weather sometimes, you never know what's going to happen when you're out and about. So just like a little more shelter, and I could work with this.
It's highly sustainable, Nicole.
A quick gas story. I tried to buy some gas, or I did buy some gas yesterday. It's pretty cheap in Texas, like $3.99. And I was filling up my tank, and it stopped at $69.70. I was so close to the perfect meme number. I was so close, and I was like, this would have like really helped my engagement on my Instagram.
Did you have a meme in mind for that?
No, I was just pumping, and then boom, I was like, oh, $69.70. Why didn't I actually try to stop it earlier? Like I was like upset with myself that I didn't catch it, but it's okay.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I get okay. Anyway, it's
Well,
like pay it at the pump, but thank you for giving me a laugh.
Trying my best.
Anyways.
Well, that's it for me, guys. It was great to see you, and I hope I see you in the Vega showroom. I think a walking vehicle could benefit us all.
Yes, be the
Totally.
best solution for the environment and for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny.
To producer Danny
Thanks,
for showing up. Bye. All right, now we're talking about Now Next Never, the show or the stories you should also be paying attention to. I am going for now, and this was trending on Twitter last night. So Mackenzie Scott has made the largest single donation in Planned Parenthood history. She donated $275 million to Planned Parenthood and 21 of its affiliates. That's huge. So according to Bloomberg Wealth, she has donated nearly $3.9 billion over the last 9 months to 465 organizations. Okay, we love a queen with a lot of money that donates it to charity and good causes. So kudos to Mackenzie Scott for just being amazing.
Shout out to her. That's
Shout out
awesome.
to her. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have next. We've been talking about Apple a lot already, but I'm going to add one more story to this Apple. Apple is working on a subscription service for buying iPhones. That's not surprising at all. So instead of buying an iPhone, paying $1,000 for it, you'll be able to lease it kind of from Apple, and for a monthly payment. Pretty much for people for mega fans. Like I'm probably not gonna do this, but for mega fans that want a new iPhone, like at the minute it comes out, instead of buying one and then returning it and trading it in for a new one, you just pay Apple monthly, and then whenever the new thing comes out, they'll just give you a new one. And then for that, they're gonna be doing that for maybe all their products one day. So be on the lookout for that. That's gonna be launching either late this year or early next year, according to an article from Bloomberg.
So that's the difference between like a stan that you are for Apple and a mega fan is someone who'd be down to do the subscription.
I'm a stan, but I still want to make somewhat good financial decisions here. And I don't need the subscription just yet. No.
I mean, it could be good if like you know, in terms of getting the new
tax
phone right
write-off,
away.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
you can figure
yeah.
out a way for it to make it worthwhile.
Like I just got my Pro, my new
The
iPhone
13?
Pro. Yeah, and I just got it like not that long ago, and so. You know, if there was like a new one that came out right away, then you could subscription it out. So I can kind of get it. But
totally.
anyways.
Speaking of good financial decisions, Nicole and Zaid, I want you guys to answer this. Would you guys ever take less money when a company offers you? Say, hey, no, I don't want that. I want to take less. Would you guys ever do that?
Never.
No.
No, you wouldn't. But guess what? That's what Instacart kind of did. Instacart, which is a pandemic darling, they slashed their valuation almost by 40% to about $24 billion. They're doing this because they think this move will help them retain talent because their valuations kind of got up to a premium, but they've had decelerating growth. They've obviously been past the demand of during the throes of the pandemic. So they're saying, hey, we need to pull back our valuation a little bit to one, attract talent for our long-term growth plans, and eventually they may go and IPO and whatnot. So they slashed their own valuation, which is something I've never seen, something I would never personally do, is slash my own worth. But they have their reasons, and they did this through an internal 409 valuation metric, which is their internal accounting method, which is different from an outside investor's method of valuing the company or the valuation that an outside investor would have. But their previous valuation through 409A was about a 5% discount from their funding, their latest funding round. So this is an interesting tactic, something that I would never do, something that seems like you guys would never do, but Instacart saying they're gonna try that out.
You hit us with a lot of like numbers and jargons there, but I guess the part that I was super confused about was like how upset are their investors going to be? But what you're ultimately saying is that it doesn't really impact the investors' evaluation, the funding evaluation, more of an internal value. It's some accounting mumbo jumbo stuff, right? Okay, cool.
Exactly, Zaid. It's accounting. It's more for their accounting purposes internally, for purposes of the employee stock options that are allotted to obviously employees. So it doesn't. It's a lot of nuance there, but it doesn't really affect the outside valuation. But from a standpoint of someone that they publicly announced it, now people know. It may make investors look at that valuation. If I was looking at it, I would actually look at that valuation myself, right?
100%.
But it's an interesting play.
Totally.
Weird. It sounds like a lot of accounting happening there, and me just thinking, I know my worth. I would never slash my value.
Amen.
Anyways, hey, okay, well that does it for our show today. Thank you so much to everyone tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of the things. We want to hear from you. We want to connect. So have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. I mean, it's nice where I am, so I'm gonna enjoy that sun after this. But yes, otherwise, we'll see you Monday. Bye.
Have a great weekend. Remember to like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell. See you tomorrow.